Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Saira Mujtaba, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserts that his government is driven by the aspirations and expectations of people. IMF lauds India's strong economic performance and digitalization of economy. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval calls on Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow, holds wide-ranging discussions on bilateral and regional issues. Urban 20 City Sherpas meet begins at Ahmedabad in Gujarat. Death toll in Turkey and Syria. Earthquakes crosses 17,000. Indian Army Field Hospital starts functioning in Iskenderun. And in the first test of Border Gavaskar Trophy Cricket Series, India dominates first day's play against Australia at Nagpur. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserted that his government is driven by the aspirations and expectations of the people on Thursday, and it is taking up issues with utmost commitment to resolve them permanently. Replying to the motion of thanks in Rajya Sabha on the President's address to the joint sitting of Parliament, Mr. Modi said the government has developed a new work culture wherein the benefits are reaching every section of the society without any discrimination. The Prime Minister said his government has decided to achieve saturation levels in schemes to benefit everyone during Azadi Ka Amrit Kal. He said this is true secularism.
हर योजना के जो लाभार्थी हैं 100% लाभ कैसे पहुंचे, बिना रोक टोक के लाभ पहुंचे। और मैं कहता हूं, अगर सच्चा पंथ निरपेक्षता है तो यही है, सच्चा सेक्युलरिज्म है तो यही है, और सरकार उस राह पर बड़ी ईमानदारी के साथ चल पड़ी है।
The Prime Minister listed out several steps taken by his government for the welfare of every section of society.
हमने हर गांव में बिजली पहुंचाने का संकल्प उठाया, समय सीमा में 18,000 गांवों में बिजली पहुंचाई, और उस चुनौतीपूर्ण काम करने के पीछे गांवों में एक नई जिंदगी की अनुभूति हुई, उनका विकास तो हुआ, लेकिन सबसे बड़ी बात हुई, देश की व्यवस्था पर उनका विश्वास बढ़ा, और विश्वास बहुत बड़ी ताकत होती है।
Mr. Modi said for development of a new India, his government understands the importance of infrastructure development, its scale and also the speed. During the Prime Minister's speech, opposition members including from the Congress, AAP, BRS, TMC, DMK continued raising slogans in the well of the House, demanding a joint parliamentary committee probe into the Adani Group issue. After the speech, members of the Congress, TMC, NCP and others staged a walkout. Later, the House adopted the motion of thanks on the President's address to the joint sitting of both Houses of Parliament. India's President Draupadi Murmu has stressed on women's participation in the country's social and economic reformation. She was speaking at the inaugural ceremony of National Convention on Women as Foundation of Value-Based Society at Brahma Kumari's Om Shanti Retreat Center in Gurugram on Thursday. President Murmu appreciated the organization for establishing India's spirituality globally. She said, whenever women got equal opportunities, they exceeded men in most cases. Talking about women's role in social reforms, the President said that even Mahatma Gandhi was inspired by his wife Kasturba Gandhi to take non-violence as the highest virtue. She mentioned names of a few women entrepreneurs who have made special contribution to the country's economic reforms. Launching the National Awareness Program, Empowering the Family, the President said, a mother is the first guru of a family. She said, a mother's teachings can bring moral and ethical values to children. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has appreciated India's strong economic performance in challenging global times and its role at the forefront of digitalization of the economy. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and Managing Director IMF Kristalina Georgieva on Thursday held a virtual conversation to discuss the upcoming G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meeting scheduled to be held in Bengaluru later this month. Kristalina Georgieva also appreciated India's contribution of $50 million for South Asia Regional Training and Technical Assistance Center in Delhi, which is in partnership between IMF and India. She said this will further strengthen India and IMF's role in building capacity in the South Asian region. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to his Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday and discussed ways to strengthen the multifaceted India-Israel friendship. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said that they also discussed ways to deepen focus on innovation, partnership and ongoing cooperation in defense and security between the two countries. A two-day Urban 20 City Sherpas meet began on Thursday in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. The meeting aims to focus on promoting solidarity among cities to find common solutions that are in sync with the overall objectives of the G20. This is the third of the G20 events which is being held in Gujarat as part of India's presidency of the G20 or Group of 20. One of the engagement groups of G20, the U20, provides a platform for cities from G20 countries to facilitate discussions on key issues of urban development such as climate change, social inclusion, sustainable mobility and affordable housing and propose collective solutions. The U20 highlights 6 priority areas, namely environment-friendly behavior, water security, climate finance, local identity, urban planning and administration, and digitalization of urban amenities. The 14th Aero Inter event will be held in Bengaluru between the 13th and 17th of this month. The event has been planned by Defence Research and Development Organisation DRDO, in which participants and stakeholders can witness enriching experience of indigenous defence technologies and systems. The 14th Aero India will aim at integrating various stakeholders of defence research and development ecosystem in the country. In the event, DRDO will display a wide range of indigenously developed products and technologies. It will provide numerous exhibits, flight displays and seminars, besides displaying its flagship products at the India Pavilion. This will include display of products on aeronautical systems, missiles, armaments, electronics, microelectronic devices and computational systems, soldier support technologies, life sciences, naval and material science amongst others. The display will showcase the recent advancements made by DRDO in furthering Prime Minister Modi's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on Atmanirbharta in defense receives a boost.
In a big boost to Atmanirbharta, self-reliance in the key defence sector, Prime Minister Narendra Modi dedicated to the nation Hindustan Aeronautics Limited's HAL's helicopter facility at Tumkuru in Karnataka. This facility will build light utility helicopters, LUHs, light combat helicopters and Indian multi-role helicopters between 3 and 15 tons. The facility has the capacity to build 1,000 such helicopters over a period of 20 years. The LUH is an indigenously designed and developed 3-ton class single-engine multipurpose utility helicopter with unique features of high maneuverability. Initially, this factory will produce around 30 helicopters per year and can be enhanced to 60 and then 90 per year in a phased manner. The Prime Minister said Karnataka is the land of saints and sages, which has always strengthened the Indian traditions of spirituality, knowledge and scientific values. He hailed the talent and innovation of Karnataka's youth and said the manufacturing sector's strength is manifested in products from drones to Tejas fighter planes. Double-engine government has made Karnataka the first choice of investors, the Prime Minister asserted, and illustrated the point by the HAL project, for which the Prime Minister had himself laid the foundation stone in 2016 with a pledge for reducing foreign dependence for defence needs. The Prime Minister expressed delight that large amounts of defence equipment are being manufactured in India, which is being used by the armed forces. From advanced assault rifles to tanks, aircraft carriers, helicopters, fighter jets, transport aircraft, India is manufacturing it all, the Prime Minister remarked. Throwing light on the aerospace sector, the Prime Minister pointed out that the investment made in the last 8 to 9 years is 5 times the amount of investment made in the aerospace sector in the 15 years before 2014. Prime Minister Modi emphasized that Made in India arms are not just supplied to the armed forces. India's defence exports have also grown manifold when compared to the years before 2014. He said that hundreds of helicopters are going to be manufactured in this facility itself in the near future, which will give rise to businesses worth 4 lakh crore rupees. When such manufacturing units are set up, it does not just strengthen the armed forces, but also creates employment and self-employment opportunities, Mr. Modi observed. He said that small businesses near the helicopter manufacturing facility in Tumkuru will get empowered. The Prime Minister emphasized that with the spirit of nation first, success is assured. He talked about revamping and reforms in the working of the public sector enterprises as well as opening up opportunities for the private sector. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh complimented the Prime Minister's visionary leadership, saying that it has fueled the rise of a new India which has the ability to illuminate the world with its light. He stated that India has been a major centre for production and export of silk, cotton and steel, and it has now embarked on a journey to become a global hub in manufacturing, especially in the field of defence. He described the HAL helicopter factory as a testament to the country's growing indigenous capabilities and the government's unwavering resolve to achieve Atmanirbharta in defence manufacturing. The Defence Minister said the facility is a reflection of the Swadeshi movement inspired by leaders like Father of the Nation Mahatma Gandhi. The Swadeshi movement, which started a century ago, was the first phase of our independence. It was National Movement 1.0. Our vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat is the National Movement 2.0, through which we are moving fast towards freedom from foreign equipment, he said. The Greenfield helicopter factory, spread across 615 acres of land, is planned with a vision to become a one-stop solution for all helicopter requirements of the country after initially producing LUHs. The factory will be augmented to produce other helicopters such as light combat helicopters and Indian multi-role helicopters. It will also be used for maintenance, repair and overhaul of LCH, LUH, Civil Advanced Light Helicopter and IMRH in the future. Potential exports of civil LUH will also be catered to from this factory. The HAL plans to produce more than 1,000 helicopters in the range of 3 to 15 tons with a total business of over 4 lakh crore rupees over a period of 20 years. Besides generating direct and indirect employment, the Tumkuru facility will boost the development of surrounding areas through its CSR activities with large-scale community-centric programs on which the company will spend substantial amounts. All this will result in improvement in the people's lives in the region.
In some more news, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval called on Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Thursday. They held wide-ranging discussions on bilateral and regional issues. The Indian Embassy in Moscow in a tweet said that they agreed to continue work towards implementing the India-Russia strategic partnership. Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval participated in the 5th multilateral meeting of Secretaries of Security Councils and National Security Advisors on Afghanistan in Moscow, Russia on Wednesday. Apart from the host country, India, Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, China, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan were represented at the meeting. Sources said that various issues related to Afghanistan were discussed, including the security situation and humanitarian challenges facing Afghanistan. Mr. Doval said that Afghanistan is passing through a difficult phase. He said India has a historical and special relationship with Afghanistan and well-being and humanitarian needs of people of Afghanistan is India's foremost priority. The National Security Advisor said that focusing on food security and medical supplies, India has so far delivered 40,000 metric tons of wheat, 60 tons of medicines, 5 lakh COVID vaccines, winter clothing, and 28 tons of disaster relief. India's Electronics and IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has launched the Digital Payments Utsav in New Delhi for the promotion of digital payments across the country. The Utsav, which began on Thursday, will continue till the 9th of October this year, with particular focus on G20 Digital Economy Working Group event in cities like Lucknow, Hyderabad, Pune and Bengaluru. Mr. Vaishnav also flagged off Digital Payment Sandesh Yatra, aimed at making citizens aware of various digital payment solutions. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Vaishnav said that digital credit system will be rolled out this year.
This year we will be rolling out digital credit. NPCI will take a big lead in that. Over a period of next 10 to 12 months, a good construct of digital credit will be created of providing digital services to the poorest of the poor, to the sections which have so far been neglected, as he says, Vanchiton ko Varyata.
India's national accreditation system under the Quality Council of India has been ranked the 5th in the world in recent Global Quality Infrastructure Index GQII 2021. The GQII ranks 184 economies in the world on the basis of quality infrastructure or QI. India's overall QI system ranking continues to be in the top 10 at the 10th position. Ministry of Commerce and Industry in a statement said that the GQII rankings are published and presented post facto each year based on the data collected till the end of that year. The 2021 rankings are based on data till the end of December 2021, collected and analyzed through 2022. Chairperson of Quality Council of India, Jagshay Shah, said that this is the sign of a new India in the Amrit Kal with a quality first approach. This is All India Radio giving you the world news. Death toll in the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria has risen to more than 17,000. At least 14,000 people have died in Turkey, according to the country's president Recep Tayyip Erdogan, while at least 3,162 have been killed in Syria. Agencies and rescue workers have warned that the figures are likely to rise higher, with many people still trapped under the rubble. Disaster Agency of Turkey said more than 28,000 citizens were evacuated from disaster areas in Kahramanmaraş. The first UN aid convoy has reached rebel-held northwest Syria from Turkey. President Erdogan has defended his government's response to 2 catastrophic earthquakes, saying it was impossible to prepare for the scale of this disaster. Critics claimed the emergency services response was too slow and the government was poorly prepared. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Thursday said that the Army Field Hospital in Iskenderun, Turkey has started functioning. In a tweet, he said the hospital is running surgical and emergency wards, X-ray lab and medical store. Dr. Jaishankar said the Indian Army will work round the clock to provide relief to the earthquake-affected people. India's Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, L. Murugan, reached Jaffna in Sri Lanka on Thursday. He received a warm welcome by the people and the Indian Consular Office in Jaffna. As connectivity through passenger ferry services is soon to commence between the two countries, the minister visited Kankesathan-Turai port, which will be connected from Puducherry. Mr. Murugan also paid his respects to former President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's bust at India Corner in Jaffna Public Library. He also handed over dry ration to 250 needy families in Jaffna. During his visit to Sri Lanka, Mr. Murugan will attend the dedication of the Jaffna Cultural Centre to the people on Saturday. He will also interact with Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe and other stakeholders during the visit. The Jaffna Cultural Centre project was built under Indian grant assistance. Sri Lanka President Ranil Wickremesinghe has said that if the island nation sticks to the plan, it will rise out of bankruptcy by 2026. He added that the economy can be stabilized by obtaining the IMF package. While delivering the government's policy statement at the Parliament on Wednesday, Mr. Wickremesinghe said that he is ready to take unpopular decisions for the sake of the nation. On tax rate hikes, the President said that the country will set to lose 16,300 crore Lankan rupees if taxes are raised. He added that the revenue currently stands at 8.15% of the GDP, while his target is to increase it till 15%. He further said that if the current recovery continues, the government would be able to give additional allowances to public servants, and concessions for the private sector in later half of the year. He hinted that through such measures, incomes can be increased by 75% in another 3 years. After spending the afternoon at Barisal visiting the historic Oxford Church and staying on board Ganga Vilas overnight on Wednesday, the cruise members enjoyed a canal cruise at Swaroopkati in Pirojpur district of Bangladesh on Thursday. The tourists were welcomed by police officials on their arrival at Nasirabad and Banaripara from Barisal. Later on Thursday afternoon, they left for their next leg of journey to Narayanganj, where they will stay overnight. On Friday and Saturday, they will be visiting tourist places in Sonargaon and Dhaka before sailing upstream to Aricha on the morning of Sunday. Over the last week of their stay in Bangladesh, after arriving on 3rd of February, cruise members have visited some of the most iconic tourist places like the Sundarbans, which is the largest mangrove forest of the world. Being an ecologically sensitive spot, the Ganga Vilas River cruise will open up the potential of ecotourism in areas like Sundarbans, drawing the attention of the world to preserve this natural barrier against storms, protect the threatened species like the Royal Bengal tiger, and help in saving huge variety of other flora and fauna in the area. The Gender Balance Forum and the Women in Government Forum will be held at the World Government Summit in Dubai from 13 to 15 February. Under the patronage of Her Highness Sheikh Manal bint Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, President of the UAE Gender Balance Council, President of the Dubai Women Establishment, and wife of His Highness Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of the Presidential Court. The two forums will bring together thought leaders from around the region and the world to discuss new ways to advance gender equality and women's participation in government. Both events will feature a rich dialogue between global leaders, officials from public and private sectors, and representatives from international organizations with expertise in developing gender policies. In Jammu and Kashmir, security forces on Thursday recovered arms and ammunition in Mendhar area of border district Poonch. AIR Jammu correspondent reports that a joint team of police and army launched a search operation in the area and recovered arms and ammunition including 4 AK-47 rifles, magazines, some bullets, 2 grenades, some explosive material and a binocular. At the stock markets, key indices ended with slight gains in a choppy session on Thursday, with the rupee weakened marginally against the dollar. In the international market, the Brent crude oil futures traded steady. A report.
At the stock markets, the Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange gained 142 points or 0.2% to close at 60,806. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange moved up 22 points to 17,893. Among other global stock markets, Asian markets ended mixed today. So Japan's Nikkei index and South Korea's Kospi index shed 0.1% each. Singapore's Straits Times index fell 0.9% and China's Shanghai Composite index climbed 1.2% and Hong Kong's Hang Seng index advanced 1.6%. In Europe, London's FTSE had gained 0.7% and France's CAC and Germany's DAX had climbed 1.3% in intraday trade. Global crude oil prices were steady today as optimism over recovering Chinese demand was offset by U.S. oil inventories hitting their highest in months and signs the U.S. Federal Reserve could keep raising interest rates. So the Brent crude futures gained 30 cents to trade at $85.39 a barrel. The U.S. crude futures inched up 26 cents to $78.73 a barrel. Back home, gold rose 35 rupees to 57,410 rupees per 10 grams at the Delhi's bullion market today. But silver fell 5 rupees to 67,941 rupees per kilogram. At the forex market, the rupee fell 2 paise to 81 rupees and 51 paise against the dollar. Rajesh Lake for World News, All India Radio.
On to sports now. In cricket, India restricted Australia to 177 runs in the first innings on day 1 of the opening test of the 4-match Border Gavaskar Trophy in Nagpur. In reply, India was 77 for loss of 1 wicket at stumps. Rohit Sharma, who scored 56 runs, was at the crease. For visitors, Labur Shagnes was the top scorer with 49 runs. R. Jadeja took 5 wickets and Ashwin 3. Earlier, Australian skipper Pat Cummins won the toss and opted to bat first. In the Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Youth Affairs and Sports, Anurag Singh Thakur will participate in the opening ceremony of the 3rd edition of Khelo India Winter Games at Gulmarg in Baramulla district on Friday. The sports event is being organized after the successful conduct of the first 2 editions, in which Jammu and Kashmir is having the distinction to have topped in both the previous editions of Khelo India Winter Games held so far. While interacting with some sports and media persons at Tangmarg, the Union Minister was all praised for the hospitality and the pleasant weather conditions of Kashmir. While lauding the scenic beauty of Kashmir, he said that the whole nation is waiting for this mega event at the snow-clad peaks of Gulmarg, in which more than 1,500 athletes from across the country are participating in the 5-day national event. And now let's take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Financial Times reports, German inflation hits 5-month low of 9.2%. The Straits Times reports, Taiwanese monk who met 3 Chinese presidents and championed reunification dies. The Globe and Mail reports, public sector workers and Ottawa prepare to lock horns over double-digit wage union demands. The Japan Times reports, panel says Japan schools can choose mask rules for graduations. The New York Times writes, US aims to curtail technology investment in China. South China Morning Post says, Chinese scientists look to artificial intelligence to dodge space junk in crowded near-Earth environment. And the Washington Post writes, Afghans rush for airport on rumors of 8 flights to Turkey. In some more news, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the Uttar Pradesh Global Investors Summit 2023 on Friday. He will also inaugurate Global Trade Show and launch Invest UP 2.0. AIR correspondent reports that UP Global Investors Summit 2023 is scheduled to be held from 10th to 12th of February 2023. It is the flagship investment summit of the government of Uttar Pradesh. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserts that his government is driven by the aspirations and expectations of people. IMF lauds India's strong economic performance and digitalization of economy. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval calls on Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow, holds wide-ranging discussions on bilateral and regional issues. Urban 20 City Sherpas meet begins at Ahmedabad in Gujarat. Death toll in Turkey and Syria, earthquakes crosses 17,000. Indian Army Field Hospital starts functioning in Iskenderun. And in the first test of Border Gavaskar Trophy Cricket Series, India dominates first day's play against Australia at Nagpur. And now before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan by artist That we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News. News.